Hey, broski, can you check the post for me? Okay, I think we're good. Can you double check for me the
Yeah,
post
I'm
live?
just refreshed it.
Hey, folks.
Yep, we're good.
Awesome. I'm also still getting a little bit of an echo from you, just so you know.
If you guys can hear us and see us on the post in Facebook, can you just let us know in the comment box? And also, I know there's a bunch of you who are new, and this might be your first time here. So if it is, please let us know that too in the chat box so we can just say a quick hi to you as well.
Beautiful. Okie dokie. All right, guys, we're gonna just hop right in. We know your time is super valuable. Again, if you are brand new, welcome. Please feel free to say hello in the chat box. I already see a bunch of familiar faces on all sorts of the platforms. So let me just tell you a little bit about these two individuals standing in front of you. We have been avid personal development seekers who identify as old souls, and you probably do too. And we have spent the better part of the last 2 decades investing heavily in personal capital, both in time and money, and having vast experiences all over the world, dealing with things like psychology, healing, neurolinguistics, shamanism, energy work. I mean, you name it, we've probably tried it, done it. And over the last 15 years or so, we have been coaching people in all different facets. And then we had done that for a few years and decided to start an organization called Satori Prime. And Satori Prime, hard to believe, will be 10 years old in the next few months here. And in that time period, we've been coaching people, organizations, and groups basically on how to live their best life. So if you want to, when people ask me what I do, I say I get paid handsomely to make sure that other people's lives are awesome and amazing. So it's like the best job on planet Earth. So basically, what we are very good at is taking some very complex, often complex spiritual things and synthesizing them down into very usable things. And that's what has made us very great in this space, and why a lot of people follow us is because they get a ton of value from the things that we share. So today, this web class is really about giving people like you, like if you're an old soul, please say yes in the chat box there. Just let us know that that's how you designate. And
doesn't it make you feel good when someone calls you an old soul? like when someone's like, you know what, you feel like an old soul to me. You're always like, yes, that's me. Welcome.
Yeah. So, why old souls? That's a good place to begin. Like, why do we designate as old souls? Well, it sounds like you're a veteran, and not just a veteran in this lifetime, but perhaps you feel like you have wisdom of the ages, right? There's a level of maturity in your system when you often look at the world and things are going crazy. You're wondering, like, are we still doing this shit? Like, that's still how it's going down. Things feel a little bit out of sorts for you. It also probably means that you have done a good amount of work on yourself. You probably have a high level of awareness. You know that there's a little voice inside your head that's speaking to you all the time, and that you don't have to always act upon it, right? Like that. So those are like the really simple things. And so that's really who this training is for. This training is for, and this web class is for people who have been on a journey in personal growth for quite some time, and yet you feel like there's something that continues to be stuck. Maybe if you're into relationships, you find that this part of you always comes out and it sabotages the relationship. Maybe in business, you find yourself to get to a point in your business and then you're almost too scared to theft, or maybe like every time finances are getting better, something comes along and sabotages that and kind of brings you back down to zero. Or maybe just once in a while, like me, you feel like you're having a panic attack that comes out of nowhere and you're not quite sure what it is, or that you get weirdly aggressive with people, right? Like it's this like this thing that it's like no matter how much work you do on it, it doesn't really seem to change. And I would start by saying this is the differentiation between doing like personal development work and actual like healing work. And that there is actually like these two bridges that we can look at. It's what Elon and I have come to call like the growing up work and the waking up work, right? So sometimes we get stuck in doing a lot of growing up work, but we're not actually doing a lot of waking up work, or you do a lot of waking up work, but you don't do a lot of growing up work. And then so what we try to do and what we do with our courses, with our web classes is like, what's the bridge that we can create? So we're not just doing one or the other, but we're actually getting this holistic view that's also allowing us to integrate responsibility and integrity, things like that, and also to the awakening practices that allow you to use and understand how you can actually use your own awareness to heal your own body. Right, so that's all the different things that we're going to be talking about today. Anything you want to add, bro?
No,
No.
I'm excited to be here with you guys.
Beautiful. So let me just break it down to you guys, like what these three topics we'll cover are today, and then when we finish, and it'll only take about 25 minutes or so to get through all that, we're going to also open this up to Q&A at the end. So if you want to ask us questions, if you want to stick around to the end of this, okay? So here's what we're going to talk about, and then Elon and I will kind of do what we do, which is ping pong back and forth ideas to each other. And who knows? Because a lot of times when these kind of calls, we're in flow or in creation, and new things come out. In fact, Elon and I often do these trainings, and we say something, we're like, "That was pretty good." It's like, yeah, that's the first time. So again, if you're just piling in right now, feel free to say hello, and we'll make sure to say hi to you as you come in as well. Okay? So here are the three things that we're going to talk about. First is we want to get into what is the actual limitation of mindset. Okay, like why is it that some of us get stuck in doing mindset work for decade after decade, and yet we find that there are some characteristic styles or traits that come out that create negative results in our life, or that make it very difficult for us to get results, and we feel like we're working really, really hard but not really getting anywhere. We're not getting very far. Okay. Second thing is we want to explore with you guys what our work has become, which is making people aware of this other sensory equipment that they have. It's what science usually will resolve to say it's your sixth sense, but really it is, in simplistic terms, a way of using your awareness to view your own energetic body in a very specific way that creates healing. So if that's interesting for you, you definitely want to stick around for that. And then the last part is going to be like, what are the disciplines that our clients and ourselves are doing that allows them to cultivate this new kind of awareness that really allows the human body to respond in such a way that Elon and I are calling it the new human. It's like a new way of experiencing the world, a new way of experiencing yourself and others. So we want to talk about the disciplines and then the type of reflection work that we believe is a requirement to cultivate that, which ultimately leads a person to live in more well-being, to experience the world as safe, not as a threat, to be in connection with yourself and others in new and profound ways that most people have never experienced. And last of all is to consistently grow the ground of love in your experience. That's love way beyond the infatuation, lust, and things that people are talking about, but really connecting with the overall unified field that is like this loving space that can hold all of us, right? So again, mindset, subtle awareness, and then we'll be talking about the disciplines. You want to get rocking on the first one?
Yeah. All right. So I've spoken to a bunch of you, and I already see that there's a few of you that have been in our emotional intelligence mastery program, a bunch of you that have been in our 2-day live event program. So I've had a chance to speak to some of you even on chat. And one of the things that we keep seeing, and one of the big reasons that we're really excited about this training, is a lot of people like us have read a ton of books. You've invested a tremendous amount of time, some of you even money, in personal growth. Out of curiosity, just in the comment box below, just throw a number in there. Like, how many years have you been on your personal journey? Just so we kind of get a sense of like who's here with us. And the thing that I keep seeing and hearing from you is that this level of frustration, of feeling stuck, or said another way, that you should be farther along. This feeling like I've invested so much time and so much money, why does my life still look this way? So I'm going to give you a little bit of why that is and why you might feel that way. And that is because the work that we've all done, mindset work, is limiting. And it's limiting in that the mind is the one that's doing the work. The kind of work that Guy and I transformed into over the last 5 years, up until that point, so for the better part of 12, 13 years, we had done the same mindset work, read the same books, watched the same movies and the same videos, followed the same gurus, NLP, reframing, Tony Robbins, Wayne Dyer, all of them, right? Napoleon Hill, like we did all that stuff. And we got to a place where you might be today, and that place is like, I am progressing and I am growing, but I'm still dealing with the same patterns. I'm still having the same things show up around relationships. I'm still having the same stuckness in my health. I'm still having the same kind of ceiling around my finances or my career. And every time you feel like you've made some sort of progress, it just keeps coming back to that same thing over and over. And so what we start to realize is that the mind will only allow you to see what the mind wants you to see. Mm. I'll say that again. The mind will only let you see what the mind wants you to see. And so it'll give you enough where you feel like, yay, I've made progress, and like, ooh, my life is moving. And the mind's like, okay, cool, you can go see that. But it doesn't actually want you to go and experience a full healing. Because when trauma got created when you were very, very young, that trauma went in a certain way. It could be sad, it could be upset, it could be angry, it could be feeling of despair or left alone or whatever it might be. But the mind, way back when, created protective mechanisms to protect you from ever feeling that way again. In that moment, it was like, I got you. You'll never have to feel that level of sadness ever again. You'll never have to feel that level of failure or loneliness or anger ever again. And so it doesn't matter how much you read, and it doesn't matter how much you listen, the mind, with all of the protectors, is the one taking in that information. So it'll let you go here, but the second you touch on that part that it promised you way back when, that you never had to feel again, it looks like this. It goes boom, and it bounces you way out. So the reason mindset work is limiting, and the reason you might feel stuck or like that you should be farther along, is because you have done a lot of work. And I call it the boomerang effect. You know, when you didn't even know the pattern was there. So you just keep bumping into the wall over and over and over and over and over again, like week in, week out, week in, week out. Then you do some mindset work, and it's like, wow, I didn't bump into that wall for maybe a month or 6 months or even a year, but you still bump into that wall. The kind of work we do here eliminates the walls. It disintegrates them, is a better way to say it. It disintegrates them and integrates them back into the whole, so that the reaction that causes the protector to come online, that causes the mind to go, oh, no, disappears. And I was just speaking to someone the other day where they had this experience that they were sitting with their parents, and they've had this same interaction time and time again. Their parents are like very fearful and worriers, etc. And every time it's like, if your parents are like that, or in-laws maybe for some of you, you'll know that like you have these protectors that come online because you know how the interaction is going to go, and then there's this reaction and it comes online. Imagine if you were in that scenario and that reaction that you're so used to having, regardless of how much you understand or try to overcome it, didn't even occur. There was no reaction. And you have this moment, I kid you not, you will all have it if you end up doing this kind of work, where you sit there and you like look over your shoulder and you go, wait, nothing? Like, no? You're not going to react? Not even a little? And you just sit there in awe. And that's really the shift from working on yourself through here and being able to drop into here, and without all the understanding, without needing to know every intricate of this and this and this and this and this, you can start to heal parts of yourself that you haven't even had access to. You don't even know that they're there. And you'll start healing them in a matter of minutes, things that have been there for decades. And for those of you that were at the live event, I mean, you saw it in person. Like, people releasing 20-year-old traumas like that.
Yep.
Once you give up the whole game of mindset and having to understand every single piece. So now the next question is like, well, what does that look like? Like, how are we shifting from mind to body, and what does that process look like? So, bro, why don't you take them through the subtle mind process?
Sure. So what Elon's talking about is really important, because what a lot of people call like the monkey mind or the lizard mind, we just simply call it the managers. Like, you have these parts of you that are managing you, right? And then these managers have particular strategies they apply given some kind of life circumstance. Now, the managers usually show up when people are stressed out, overwhelmed, and in anxiety. Now, what would it, if we can imagine, and we don't have to imagine too hard because our world is organized this way, if you can imagine a world where people don't leave fight or flight responses, and so they're managers who are really just trying to create safety. It's not like the manager is bad or ordinary mind bad. It's not bad. It's doing what it was designed to do, which is try to create safety. But when the system is online all the time, then our choices, our actions, everything that we do is sourced from this energy of like lack and scarcity and anxiety and stress. And we're making a lot of decisions trying to figure out how to change our circumstances to create more safety for the system. How many of you guys know what I'm talking about? Like, your whole life has been about, all right, let me change this person in my relationship, or let me finally get this business rocking, or make more money. And it's been this way because you're trying to create more safety. You're trying to do an altruistic thing for you. But it's like, no matter how much you create, no matter what changes, this like core feeling of safety doesn't really change. So when we're doing mindset work and we relegate ourselves to that alone, what we're really doing is we're becoming aware of the managers, and then we're training them how to manage better. But there's still this management happening, okay? The shift that we offer is available here to make is that there is an energy body here, right? Like, I don't think we're at this point in science and quantum physics that we can't deny how important energy is, right? I truly believe 21st century will be the century of energy. And so I want you to picture this. You walk into a situation that causes you stress. You walk into a room with people that make you feel uncomfortable, or this could be as simple as sitting down in a movie theater, if you guys remember doing that before all this happened. And you just sit down next to a person, and just sitting down next to them, suddenly you don't feel good, and something picks you up and says, move over here. Just create some space between you and them. So there is something in the system, like an innate response that is occurring, right? That then the mind is kind of like watching and looking at the body and looking down at the body, and is responding to this energetic feedback that the body is giving it. So again, it doesn't matter how much work you do or how good you get with these managers. That energetic feedback is going to show up because it's innate. It is actually it's not under your control. It's part of this beautiful biological safety mechanism that responds to fear in a specific way, and is part of the reason why humans have lasted as long as they have, is because we have this incredible innate system. So this awareness is really about you starting to view that innate. You're starting to actually view the innate, just like if you guys remember the first time somebody said to you, hey, do you know you have this little voice in your head? And you said to yourself, what little voice in my head? And then they said, well, just be quiet for a moment. We can listen to the little voice. And the little voice is talking about what you're going to do for dinner tonight, what you should wear, that you look too fat in that clothes or too skinny in this clothes, right? It's just, it has this narration, this opinion about everything. And then you're like, holy crap, I'm the one listening to that. That's not actually me. Becoming aware of the innate and becoming aware of it is exactly the same way. It's this whole system that everybody's experiencing, but nobody's pointing at in order for people to become aware of. So it's one thing to become aware of it, okay? So maybe even right now you kind of get a sense of it. And it could be simple things. It could be like, okay, yeah, I feel a tightening in my chest, or like this pressure in my stomach, or this fogginess in my brain. This is all part of that innate, right? And we can define how these different systems work, but that would be way too advanced for this kind of training. Now, what's important, really important about this innate is not just that you can view it, it's where you're viewing it from. Right? Just like when we do mindset work, it's like the paradigm shift, the perspective, changing the story really matters in the actions that you're going to take and how you're going to approach that thing. How you use awareness to view innate is the difference between locking down the system and scaring it and making it feel closed and not move, or opening the system and allowing for it to release the energy. Okay? So when we view the energetic system in a particular way, and the hint that I'll give you here about like how this is done is the way that when you were a child and you were upset and you went to mom and dad looking for their presence, there was a way that you wanted mom and dad to show up for you. And if you teach yourself, so to speak, and you can do this through meditation practices and all sorts of different practices that we do with people to point at different aspects of how this awareness is working. If you can approach the system with this kind of attunement, this kind of energetic attunement that you wanted from mom and dad, so you're kind of like both the child internally and also the parent who's coming in with attunement, this incredible magical thing happens to the system. Because if you think about any moment in trauma that you experienced as a child, three things most likely happened. The trauma occurred, you suddenly felt unsupported, you felt unsafe, and you felt all alone. And when we can dynamically bring in those three things through awareness to view the system, then it's like the body or the energetic system actually gets the information that it was missing during that event. And the energy can actually liberate and move from the system. Usually it moves down through the legs or up through the head. And once that's liberated, it's liberated. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to write notes. You don't have to remember a 5-step process. But here's the beauty. If the mind is responding with programs that it runs to attempt to create safety to the innate, and we shift the innate, meaning that the thing that made the innate respond is no longer there to respond, meaning the source of what's making the innate respond, that source is no longer there, then the mind no longer has to run that program in order to protect the body, because the body doesn't need this protection. And the beautiful part here is that as you do this practice, first of all, like Elon said, major healings can happen in minutes, not because Elon and I are healers. In fact, all we do is create containers and fields for people to step inside of so that their own healing can take place. There is a what they're calling the smart body. There is a divine intelligence to your body that knows the timing of your body, when things are supposed to be healed, how they're supposed to be healed. And this is what I want to point to. Your brain has billions, trillions of neuronal contacts. I don't care what therapy you go do, what book you go read. There's no 5-step process that understands your unique fingerprint and how your neurons are set up and how they can be moved around or shifted or healed. Nobody knows that. But the smart body, the divine intelligence does, and it does so in its own time. So our work is about making you aware of this intelligence and then how to work with it in such a way that these energetic systems actually liberate from the system. The mind stops having things to protect from, and the natural byproduct of this is a foundation of more well-being, safety, love, and connection, because suddenly those things are just naturally there when we're not trying to protect ourselves all the time. And I'll finish with this before I hand this over to Elon. I want you to imagine that most of the world is stuck in a fight or flight response. And a lot of what we see in the world in terms of not understanding why people are taking those actions are a response of how that person is trying to create safety in their world, because they have not been taught how to downregulate their nervous system and actually create safety here as a foundation, and then respond to the world and to others and to this physical reality from a place of safety. And it's in my view why probably 99.9% of the conflicts that we have on the planet are currently occurring, both interpersonally and at a global scale. Go ahead, Broski. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I just want to something as you were talking just came through, and I want to give you guys an example of how doing this work transpired in my life. And I'm going to go on a topic that I think, and you guys can hit me in the comment box and let me know if this matters to you, but how many of you guys want to make more money? Just say yes in the comment box below. And or money has been something that you've worked on. You've gotten the books around abundance. You're trying to manifest more money. You're like doing all these things around money. How many of you guys would agree that that's something that you've went to work on in one way or another? Cool. So my guess is there's many of you that are in that world. I'm just like you. I did so much work. We even had a program called Prime Your Abundance. Like I've had breakthroughs upon breakthroughs upon breakthroughs upon breakthroughs around my money mindset. And none of them got me to the place I am today. And I'm going to share a little story with you. And it's both to highlight the depth of this work, the unpredictability of this work, and the power of this work. Mm. While I believe that we are all capable of personal growth on our own, I'm a big believer of that, right? Like you can meditate, you can read, you can do practices on your own. Again, think who you're working with, right? Point one is the mind is doing most of that stuff. And the mind doesn't want you to see certain things. So it's going to allow you to see certain things and not allow you to see other things. So I'm sitting with my mentor. And by the way, just so you guys understand, Guy and I have spent combined between the two of us over $1 million invested in ourselves, in our education, to get us to this place. I'm not talking to like build a business, just in self-education, seminars, coaches, etc.
We joke that it's taken us a lot of hard work to make our lives very easy.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so this is what I'm going to share with you, like how to make life easy, specifically around money. Everyone wants more money. Even the person that has $1 billion still wants more money. And the reason we all want more money is because we want that money to make us feel a certain way. You want to feel more freedom. You want to feel peace. In my case, what became abundantly clear that I had no idea until it was reflected back to me by my mentor and coach was that at some point, I created a link between money equals support. And when I had money, I felt like I was supported. When I didn't have money, I felt like support was totally gone. And I don't know about you guys, but money has this amazing ability to come into our lives for certain times, leave. Like it just has this like ebb and flow effect to it. And I kept chasing money because what I wanted to feel was support. Through support, I felt safety. When I got that distinction and it was reflected back to me, because it didn't matter how many books I read and how many things I did, I just never was able to see that, right? Now what I got to deal with is not the second place prize or the booby prize that money took me on. I got to actually realize like I can actually train myself separate from money, to feel support and safety in my system. And that's what I went to work on. Whatever your thing around money is, I guarantee you that is not the money that is going to get you there. Because I've had a lot of money and I've lost a lot of money. And when I had a lot of money, it wasn't like I got to this place where I was like, you know what? Now I feel satiated. I have support. I'm good. It didn't matter. It was like, I need more because I still don't feel support. Or, oh my God, what happens now if I lose it? When I flipped the game, when this was reflected back to me by my mentor and I flipped the game, I started practices, like we're talking about here, on how to build support in my system. Bro, I'm getting a little bit of an echo from you.
Okay.
And the beauty is this, that when you actually do that level of work, guess what follows? More money. With ease and effortlessness like your mind can't even fathom right now. All while sitting and doing internal practices on how to rewire my system to receive support. Because support can be trained in. Support, your inability to receive support isn't just around money. It's around love. It's around health. It's around well-being. It's around all of it. You don't even have capability to see when support is standing right in front of your face. I was not able to see when someone was offering me support because the filter system wouldn't allow me to see it. I'm inviting you guys, if the things that you've been doing haven't gotten you to where you want to be, it's time to experiment with new methodologies. If you keep doing the same thing over and over, right? The definition of crazy. If you keep doing the same thing and expect some different results, you're going to find, you know what, Elon? I know. My friend told me there's this one book. This is the book. This is the one that's going to change my life. And then you read that book and what happens? Oh, and then right back to the same thing. Because that's not where you get the healing done. So inside of reflection and reflection from my mentor, and then practices to build this support is how I was able to heal this part. And my life, both from a financial place, from a friend's place, from a support around our business place, from my wife place, from my family place, like my life around support has completely shifted. And therefore, the lessons that I needed to get around support have gone. And now I'm on to something else. And everything started to work. So it really is it happens like this when it's there and reflected back. But the mind will not let you see these pieces because it's just too scary to deal with. That process to feel that depth of lack of support, that I was all alone and no one was there and no one was coming. But to experience like a 6-year-old would was scary, was painful. And it was something that I would never, ever, ever be able to go through on my own, ever. But having someone there, going through that level of trauma with someone sitting there with me was the only reason I was able to do it. And in that moment, everything shifted.
Well, even if you try to go into a process like that by yourself, and you actually went into the sensation, right? Because we got to move through, right, that experience, and somebody wasn't there. The system would say what it said last time, which is, hey, no one's here. It would actually support the evidence of what the part thinks happened, right? And guys, I want to just relay to you guys that a lot of this stuff is not because you made some decision along the way, although that stuff happens too, right? And mindset will be like, oh yeah, I remember making that decision. And then you're like, I can unmake that decision, but there's a feeling that got integrated into the fascia, into the muscles, into the body tissue. I mean, you can laugh if you want, but I can tell you, Elon and I at this point can walk into a room and just based on people's bodies shapes, tell you with about 80 to 90% accuracy what's the psychology and the underlying issue that they're dealing with, because the mind shapes the body through energetics, right? There is a style of character to a person who's got broader shoulders and big chest, like Elon and I. There's a style to a body who's got a frail body, and that says something about how the energetics moves in their body, or actually doesn't move in their body, right? Or if you're more heavy set and you've had a really difficult time losing weight, we've had clients who, without working on their physical fitness, have lost, I shit you not, over 60 plus pounds within a matter of months, not because they wanted to get healthier in that way, because what was keeping the biological weight on their system is a lack of safety. And this weight, so to speak, it was purposed for the fact of creating safety in their system. So if we can realign the system, or he got to realign his system around safety, then that which the mind and the body has been using to keep safe can reorganize also, including your health and well-being, right? So a lot of you guys have heard the word like disease spread apart into dis-ease. There's a lack of ease in the system. And this creates all sorts of amalgamations and things in people's bodies. So this is so crucially important, because it's why so many of us get frustrated. But again, there's certain work you can do on your own. And then there's certain work that absolutely requires another body, because the energetic body actually has to be present of another presence that's present with it, if that makes sense. I know that's a kind of a mouthful, but it's like somebody has to be there in presence with you and in a safe connection. And then the body starts getting new information. It's like, wow, somebody's actually here this time. They haven't left me. And you can feel how that lands in the system differently. And the body goes, okay, finally. And something moves through in that moment, and it fundamentally changes the structure. Something we have to remind our clients a lot as they go through these processes is it's okay to not understand. Because my belief system, and you guys can mediate about it in the chat box if you want, but here's how I have opined and believe it works. The reality, this holographic reality experience that we're having, is a reflection of the vibration, frequency, and resonance in your body. So most people have a certain vibration, frequency, and resonance in their body. And when there's something going on in there that's causing that anxiety, they try to change the outside circumstances, trying to change what this vibration that's happening in the system. But the vibrations are what's causing that reality to come. So instead of it going internal first and then shifting that vibration, what ends up happening is the way that reality shows up completely changes. And because it's changing, that new reality now retrains the mind how to be in this new reality. So it's, instead of a mind down work, this is really a body and heart up work. The experiences end up giving the wisdom to the mind in the most amazing ways. And one of the incredible side effects that we see just over and over again is this increased amount of synchronicity that people experience. So we often joke, it's like, how many coincidences do you need to see before you stop believing in coincidence? You start attracting things to you in the vibration that you are. If you naturally have more well-being and safety in your system, then the events that occur around your life have more well-being and more safety, right? And then that just reprograms the brain, and it's this kind of cycle that just starts growing, but in the opposite direction than what most people expect. Even when most people are getting really good results, right? They get to a point, and then you guys know there's this threshold you hit, and something inside you goes, can't be good for much longer. And it just starts working this other thing and like sabotaging it, right? Like, so that's the stuff, these core things that we get to work on that are so subtle, because it's not about, okay, I understand how that works. Great. That sensation is still in your body. Okay, guys, well, yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Cool. But that sensation is still in your body. And it's ultimately these sensations that the mind is responding to, right? So like Elon said, there are certain things and certain disciplines that we get to put in place. Now, look, if you're like, okay, cool, guys, just explain to me how this works, and I'll get going. That's cool, right? But like, it really is, just like having a healthy lifestyle, right? Like, if you came to me and you said, hey, guy, I want to look great this summer. I want a six-pack. Awesome. Eating cake 3 times a week is not going to get you there, right? You got to cultivate Something that we got to cultivate within ourselves is daily habitual practices and a commitment towards creating more safety and well-being in our system. If we're just like, we'll just do it, for this weekend retreat, but we won't really live that lifestyle, you might have some amazing breakthroughs and some incredible experiences. And trust me, with this, they last. They're sustainable. However, if you want to keep growing with it, then it's really about all of us, just like we want to cultivate more consciousness and awareness on the planet. We want to cultivate more consciousness around how we're using resources and how we're treating our bodies so they can be more well, especially during this time. We also want to cultivate, well, okay, how do I cultivate my awareness? How do I cultivate my energetic body? How do I cultivate my multidimensional nature, which can bring in like healing beyond what the medical community can even comprehend at this point in time, and are just starting to build machines that are understanding this in a quantifiable way, right? So we really want to talk about like what are the disciplines that you guys get to do on a daily basis, right? So Elon mentioned it. Mentorship and reflection is certainly a way, and that's some of the things we obviously do in our programs. But somewhere above or below this video is a downloadable meditation, right? And that downloadable meditation is really a repatterning and a retraining of how to start using your awareness in a way that creates healing. So we call it an active healing meditation. This is not a meditation where you show up and you're like, please mind, be quiet, I want to be less stressed out. It's not that. There is a disconnect in how Western-minded people think about meditation. Just like, a lot of people who maybe do yoga, they do it for exercise, but they're completely missing the energetic and spiritual aspects of it, which are the foundation of why yoga was invented, created, and brought forth anyway, right? So in this way, it's the same kind of thing. If you're just sitting down for meditation, you're like, I gotta figure out how to train this monkey mind of mine to be quiet, and the whole time the mind is talking. And the rest of the time, you're upset that the mind is talking. I would not call that a very fruitful meditation to begin with. So we want to teach you that meditation is not just about sitting and being quiet. It's about there's an active way to start using your awareness to start enabling energy to move and liberate out the system that creates natural, organic, call it what you will, fair trade healing in the body. And you can start seeing the results of this immediately. Anything you want to add to that, Broski? Okay. So with that, guys, so I definitely invite you to download that. And then those are the three kind of pillars that we really harp on here. So I'm going to let Elon let you guys know how you can take a next step in having a conversation with our team. So if you're interested in starting to look at like, okay, what are the disciplines? What's mentorship look like? How do we work with people? This is how you would take that next step.
Again, just before that, so just to recap, right? So we talked about limitations of the mind. We talked about how to create subtle body awareness. And then lastly is mentorship and reflection and how crucial that is. So if you want to deepen, or if you find yourself like, I have this, but I'm interested in deepening that, or I'm not really clear on how to do that, what we offer everyone that joins this group for the first time, this is a one-time only thing that we offer for free. You can book a call. You can go to callsatori.com, call, C-A-L-L, satori.com, and we actually have a coach that's one of our coaches that will sit with you for about 20 or so minutes and answer questions, help you to deepen your path wherever you are. Maybe you've done our meditation and you have a question. You're like, you know what? I'm experiencing this, but I'm feeling a little stuck or confused about that. Get on that call. You want to figure out what other resources we have here, or there's a specific area that you're looking to work on and you want some resources there. Book a call. This is our way to give you a free consultation. No strings attached. There's absolutely nothing to buy on this call. They won't sell you anything. It's just not. So if you want some guidance, if you want to know what maybe your next step on the journey or how to deepen something, head over to callsatori.com, set up that conversation, book a time, and then that's it. That would be a great place for you to start your journey with us here at Old Souls and Seekers. For those of you that have listened to the podcast for a long time and you're just like, okay, what's next for me? again, just book that call. And Nikki, who you'll be talking to, she's absolutely fabulous, and will help you deepen or take the next step or whatever that might be.
Yeah, and hold on, how do I get there? Here you go. So it's important, guys, to know that this is not a sales call. It really is about after you get on the call or you book your call, you're going to have a short form to fill out with just basic questions, like kind of rating yourself in different areas of life, and letting us know like what is it that you're currently working on, like where do you actually feel stuck? Because we want to make sure that if we're going to do something together, if we're going to be in a mentorship with you, that what we're doing here is going to provide the highest service for you. Again, we know that many of you guys have been doing a ton of work, right? And we absolutely understand from our own personal experience the frustration and being a wise, knowledgeable person who's still finding themselves in these old sabotage patterns and how gripping and annoying that can actually be. So we want you to know that the last 5 years has been such an intense look for us in what does it really take to heal that system. We want you guys to know that there's absolutely a way to do that, right? Because the difference is doing what Elon and I were doing, which is like reading the next book, and it's like, yeah, that sounds cute, but it's like regurgitation of the same old stuff. We want to offer that there's like an old energy that's been on the planet that now has transitioned to this new energy, and it is more palpable than it's ever been before. You know, I've been using the analogy recently. It's like we're moving away from fossil fuels. We're going to go to electric vehicles and all this stuff. The fossil fuels are still going to be in the ground. The old energy is still in the ground. We're just going to choose to stop using it. So the opportunity here for all of us is to start working with this new energy, to start becoming aware of these subtle energetic aspects of us, these multidimensional aspects of us. And we're telling you right now, the speed at which this transforms people is like just nothing we've ever seen before, which is why we switched everything in our organization from doing that mindset work and be like, holy shit, this really changes people's lives in such a profound way. So if you're interested in the first steps in exploring that, call satori.com. That will take you over to the schedule page, and then it'll take you probably like 5 minutes to fill out that form, and Nikki will be happy to speak to you guys. Is there anything we left off the table?
Yeah, I just want to offer you guys, like, we have and will continue to create in this group tons of free, incredible content. And I know it's free to you, but you can go pay other people and it won't be to this quality. What we focus on here is less understanding and information for your mind to go, yay, I learned something new, and more to focus on experience. It's one of the big reasons that we offer these calls is because, like, we want to get you into the experience of life, not into the understanding. Oh, I know why I feel lonely, or I know why I don't have safety, or I know why I don't have money. If it doesn't make a difference, honestly, who the fuck cares? So allow yourself to soak in the experiential learning that we have here. Ask questions, be engaged. We love interacting with you. So enjoy the group. If you want to enjoy the group more, again, call satori.com and Nikki will guide you further from there. Thank you guys so much for being here with us. For all of you that were here new and this is the first time being with us, I really hope you enjoyed this. We're going to be doing these calls regularly on a weekly basis. So stay tuned in the group. We'll message out when they're happening, how they're happening, what they're covering, etc. And yeah, thank you again.
I wanted to just complete with this. If you have any questions here, drop them below. We went a little bit over time, so we want to get you guys out of this thing. But if you have any questions, drop them below, and then Elon and I will actually reach out to you individually or have Nikki reach out to you to help you with that specific thing. We will close out with this final thing here. Elon will jump off, I'm sure, but I want to just give you like a taste, from this is a 2-day program we did back in May. We just did another one here in late September. And this woman is an old friend of ours. I live in California now. Elon's still in New York. But when we were involved in a lot of like NLP work and neurolinguistics and things like this, we knew this woman, Ina. And Ina has been through 10, 12 years of work, right? This old soul, this very wise person. And she had never heard of the type of work that we're talking about here. So about 5 minutes before we launched our May event, she bought a ticket. She showed up. She didn't even know what the event was. And this is her talking about that experience over a few minutes. So I want to just leave you guys with this to give you somebody else's story and direct response to meeting this kind of energy for the first time. And it's just such a humbling thing to watch somebody that we've done a lot of work with be introduced to this and be the Sherpa, so to speak, for her to get this kind of awareness. So I will put that video on. Please enjoy, and then we'll close out, guys. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. We really, really appreciate it. We look forward to getting to know more of you guys in the group. Please do not hesitate to reach out to us with any of your questions or needs. And don't forget to book your call at callsatori.com. We'll see you guys soon. Enjoy the video.
Bye, guys. Thanks so much.
So this is my quick video testimonial for Guy and Elon after attending the Have It All virtual 2020 event. I would have loved to create a before and after, and just seeing where I was before and just where I am right now. I almost can't even really put it into words. I just felt like I was an emotional wreck, and I couldn't even put a finger on as to why. I just would experience moments in my life when I would just cry sporadically, sometimes for minutes, sometimes for days, sometimes for hours. Just, that's kind of where I was. And I came across the event literally, I think, an hour or two before it was starting. And I had this little ping pong match in my head as to, okay, should I, shouldn't I? Is it good timing, bad timing? Will I actually do it? What's on my schedule? All this kind of mental stuff. And jumped in 30 minutes into the event. Actually, wasn't even sure if I missed anything deathly important, but just trusted that it's what I was supposed to do. And it was really what I was supposed to do. I learned the most simple but mind-blowing and heartwarming, actually, tools that are so easy and so simple and so accessible. It's actually kind of shocking. I've known Guy and Elon for years, and they've out-transformed themselves from any kind of work that I knew that they were doing before, and work that I had gotten to know them through. And anyone that transforms themselves just over and over and over and over again to the point that they've out-transformed their own transformation, I mean, it's just can't even imagine what that entails. And it would be silly, to say the least, not to learn from someone like that and not to even just be in their presence. The community that they have created is just, it's amazing and it's heartwarming. And the biggest transformation that I got out of attending the event was really just moving from my head to my heart, and actually just knowing that I can experience anything, and just knowing that I have the capacity to really feel through anything. And it may not always be pretty, and it may not always, feel tingly and warm. It may feel scary and difficult and unpleasant and uncomfortable and all these kinds of things. But resisting it doesn't make it go away. Reading books on how to transform it and hopefully fix it, and praying that it just disappears and just kind of goes away, doesn't do it. But acknowledging it and actually just letting it be and feeling through it and was just incredible. It was actually incredible. And I cried through most of day one, and that was okay. Their perception is freakishly on point. So if you think they might not pick up on something, they will. And just it's just a very, very, very I want to say priceless, but not really priceless. It's actually beyond that. It's a really valuable, and it's a really acknowledging and a very embodying experience to move from your head to your heart, and to actually not think things through, but feel things through, and not just think things over, but feel things over. And when Guy said, stop trying to feel better and get better at feeling, knocked my socks off. And I wasn't even wearing any, but it knocked my socks off. And it's simple, but it's heart transforming at the same time. I no longer want to say mind-blowing. It's not mind-blowing. It doesn't blow my mind. It's heartwarming, and it's heart-opening, and it's just heart transforming. That's really what it is. And just so looking forward to being a part of this community. It's really been a heart transforming experience. Thank you to Guy and Elon.
We love you guys so much. Thank you once again for being here today. If we can serve you in any way, please do not hesitate to ask. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye, guys.